This is Matthew Cratter from Bitcoin University, and today I wanted to talk about how Bitcoin fixes gold and housing. Here's the fundamental problem. When the money is bad, when the money is a poor store of value, lots of other things become monetized and become monetary substitutes. And as we've figured out over the past 50 to 100 years, fiat money and government issued money in general is a really bad store of value. Here's the loss of purchasing power of the US dollar since the founding of the Federal Reserve in 1913. $26 worth of purchasing power back then is only worth $1. And so the problem is, if you are someone with excess savings, whether you're upper middle class or wealthy, you need to find a place to put your money where it will maintain its purchasing power. And over the past 50 years or so, real estate has been a very popular choice for this. We have a lot of wealthy people having second and third luxury homes in Aspen, Vail, Hawaii, etc. And these are not just consumption items, but this is also ways for them to protect their purchasing power. Another popular choice has been investment properties like apartment buildings and single family homes that are rented out. The only problem with this is that these yield chasing investors are competing with ordinary Americans and driving up prices, as we saw in this Wall Street Journal article from a few years ago. If you sell a house these days, the buyer might be a pension fund. As the Slate article from 2021 spoke about, investors have been depleting the inventory of houses that might otherwise be obtainable for younger working and middle class households in the cities where those workers can easily find good paying jobs like Atlanta, Charlotte, and Phoenix. So the problem with rich people using rental houses and other forms of housing and real estate as a store of value is that it unnecessarily drives up the cost of living for the working and middle classes as rich people compete to own this limited inventory of houses. How do I know this? I know this in part because I used to own a portfolio of working class rental houses in the Sacramento, California area myself. Fortunately, that money has now been moved safely into real money, which is Bitcoin. Now, as Bitcoin takes over as the global store of value, the market share of housing as a store of value will fall, which means less expensive housing for the working and middle classes. And this is yet another way in which Bitcoin exerts its ethical influence on the world. It demonetizes real world things that have real utility value and whose prices have been distorted for so long by fiat money being such a bad store of value. And in this way, it makes housing cheaper for the working and middle classes. I'd say if you're enjoying this video so far, please help to support the channel by hitting that subscribe button, hit the like button, leave a comment or question as well. Now, another example of something that Bitcoin has been demonetizing is gold. Gold is a beautiful metal, but it's a really bad form of money. It's difficult to transport, to assay, to subdivide, to store, etc. And that's why it's all ended up in centralized vaults under the control of governments and central bankers, because people choose not to store it themselves, at least in very large quantities. And it's this centralization of gold that led directly to the fiat era that we all suffer under today. So we can thank the gold standard directly for that and gold's failure for that. Now, one cannot imagine a more backwards form of money for a digital age, for the digital 21st century, than gold. And in my experience, especially in my YouTube comment section, gold bugs are for the most part Luddites who oppose progress and new technology. Their favorite argument against Bitcoin seems to be that the internet and all electrical grids will go down and stay down permanently at a global level. And so while Bitcoiners are long human ingenuity in that trading sense of buying something and benefiting from it going up, Bitcoiners are long human ingenuity. Gold bugs are actually short human ingenuity, which is a very, very bad trade and a very bad investment. Gold bugs like to prophesy an imminent return to primitive times where people walk around with shiny yellow rocks in their pockets to buy things. As we said, gold was tried as a global monetary asset, and it failed miserably due to its lack of portability and lack of ease of verification. Gold is also inferior money, and people forget this. It's also inferior because its supply increases by 1% to 2% every year. If it increases 2% every year, you've basically roughly doubled the supply after 50 years, which is less than a human lifetime, obviously. And this increase of the supply dilutes existing investors and blunts their investment returns. So if you're long gold, you are short human ingenuity, which is constantly trying to make the production of gold cheaper and increase gold inventories globally and thus hurt your gold investment. By contrast, no amount of human ingenuity can increase the maximum supply of Bitcoin, which is fixed at 21 million coins. Gold bugs today are a lot like the Iroquois and Shawnee, the Native Americans of yesteryear, with their wampum, their shell money, going up against the white settlers with their gold coins, and not in any way to excuse the horrible treatment of the Native Americans and the outright genocide that took place, but the white man's money was objectively better money, and that's one reason that it won. Likewise, every day, gold bugs get a little bit poorer compared to their Bitcoiner brethren, and I think that's actually a good thing because the smartest gold bugs have all moved on to Bitcoin. The less smart gold bugs will continue to hold on, and if they don't sell their shiny yellow rocks, you can be sure that their millennial or Gen Z grandchildren will dump them, probably in exchange for something like Bitcoin. And we see this even in India, which is a country that certainly loves its gold. The youngest generation couldn't care less about gold. They're much more interested in buying digital things and buying smartphones, etc., as this article talks about. A great way of seeing how gold bugs continue to get poorer relative to their Bitcoiner brethren is to take a look at the chart of gold versus Bitcoin. When this chart is going down, that means Bitcoin is getting stronger and appreciating relative to gold, and that gold bugs are getting poorer. This has certainly been happening for the past few years, and when we scroll out, we can see how brutal it has been. It has been one of the worst trades of all time to be long gold over the past decade instead of being long Bitcoin. And this is why people like Peter Schiff, for example, are so bitter, because during this decade that's seen the most central bank money printing of all time, gold has hovered around somewhere between $1,700 and $2,000 an ounce. It really has gone nowhere, and it hasn't even protected people against monetary debasement. Gold getting demonetized, in other words, no longer being accepted as money and losing its monetary premium, is actually a wonderful thing because it frees up more gold at a lower price for use in electronics and high tech. Approximately 11% of all gold produced is used in industry. The rest of that, the other 89%, really is a monetary premium. People storing gold in the form of bullion or as jewelry, as a store of value for their families or for their investors. And so if gold were to be demonetized overnight, its price would fall approximately 90%, 89%. It would fall down to its industrial value. So in other words, it'd fall from approximately $1,935 down to $193.50. But this would be a good thing. Gold getting demonetized and more affordable also frees up this beautiful metal for the artists, which I think is where it really belongs. One of my favorite gold works of art is Benvenuto Cellini's Salt Cellar, which is a famous product of the Renaissance in Italy. And we can see how beautiful gold is. It's a wonderful, precious metal. It's just not a very good form of money for the digital age. And this is the right use of gold, to be used in religious settings and to be used by artists as well as a thing of beauty. So this is how Bitcoin helps to make the world a better place. It frees up gold for the artists, it frees up housing for the people, and it provides pure, ethical, digital money for the 8 billion people who live on this planet, and allows them to store it, to protect themselves from the devaluation of their fiat, and also to be able to spend money and send money in a censorship-resistant way, which you certainly can't do with gold or housing. These are things that are very difficult to transport, if not impossible to transport across borders. If you want to go down the rabbit hole of Bitcoin versus real estate, I have two videos you might be interested in. This first one, why Bitcoin is much better than real estate, followed up by why real estate is a bad inflation hedge. So be sure to check those out. I'll put them in the description notes below. If you found this video helpful, be sure to hit that subscribe and like button. Hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when I publish my next video. And let me know your questions and comments in the comment section below. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.